Hey, good evening, folks. Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with farmerweather.com. That's my website, my ag weather service. But here's an update for us that live just in the Rotunda West, Englewood, Venice area. Let's get to it. I can tell you it's 10:30 right now. We don't have the what we call 0Z models. 0Z would be models that start with 8 p.m. data, and it takes a couple of hours for them to come in. We don't have those yet. Those will be coming in shortly, but I don't know. I might fall asleep. I can tell you the trend is slightly good news for us here in Rotunda West, Englewood, in that a few of the models I'm going to show you are trending a little bit northward. Everything's showing much slower. Instead of what looked like maybe a Wednesday early evening night landfall, may now be a middle of the night Wednesday landfall. And the slower movement, I think, is good news, because that's going to allow it to take the turn a little northward, and it's probably a sign that wind shear is working on it. We'll show that to you also. So let me just start off with the picture of it out in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, and you can definitely see Milton has become a churning hurricane, pretty small in size, and that's one difference from Hurricane Helene, in that it probably is going to be a lot smaller of a wind field. So here is the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern track, and it's still about the same. It's right at about, the track, although they tell us, don't focus on where they put the center. We do, because that's what we want to know. But they put it at about Sarasota. They say they've inched it northward just a touch. In this, I found a couple of nuggets that were important. Let's see. NHC forecast, National Hurricane Center forecast, is a bit south of the previous one through 48 hours. That's down in the Gulf of Mexico. Following the trend of the guidance at that time, the government of Mexico has issued a hurricane watch. Later on, meaning out farther in time, 3 and 4 days when it's going to affect us, the guidance is similar to or slightly north of the last cycle, and very little changes made to the forecast near Florida. So what they're saying is guidance, that means weather models, is similar to and slightly north, and I'm going to show you that, but they haven't reacted to it yet in their forecast. It should be noted that the average NHC track error at day 3 is around 100 miles. So that still means that they have a lot of error in there that, we could deal with. But right now the trend is northward, so let's hope that that continues. The intensity forecast appears straightforward at first, with rapid intensification likely, while the small hurricane remains within light shear and over deep warm waters. Intensity guidance is about as bullish as I've seen in this part of the basin, meaning the southwest Gulf of Mexico, with almost everything showing a peak intensity of category 4 or 5 in the southern Gulf of Mexico in a day or two. The NHC forecast is raised from the previous one and lies near the intensity consensus model, and still could be too low. Later on, vertical wind shear is forecast to markedly increase. Vertical wind shear thwarts, weakens a hurricane. Vertical wind shear is forecast to markedly increase as Milton approaches Florida, and some weakening is anticipated. However, the regional hurricane models are showing the system growing even if it weakens. I'll show that to you in just a second. And we are expecting Milton to be a large hurricane at landfall with very dangerous impacts spread out over a big area. There is increasing confidence that a powerful hurricane with life-threatening hazards will be affecting portions of the Florida coast. And of course, we know that. And I would always be remiss if I did not start these with saying NHC and the local officials are the ones you listen to. This is just my, Mark Torregrossa's interpretation of what could be changing in this, okay? So if they tell you to evacuate, you evacuate, but I'll give you some heads up, a little commentary on what could be changing. And again, now we're going to look at the trend slightly in favor of us in the Rotunda West, Englewood area. Venice, of course, you would be farther north and you would be affected more by this hurricane, but all of us, even Venice, would have the trend being our friend if the storm center continues to move north. Okay, so these are the latest that we have on these models. You've heard of the European. We're always talking about that. It's a good global model, and what it's showing, we'll go through, and you're going to see just the wind field, not the wind gust, but it shows you where the eye would be. So this is Wednesday late morning, 11 o'clock. So it is definitely slowed. And note that it appears to reach peak intensity right about there. And then as it approaches, it's still a hurricane, but it brings the eye on about Clearwater and has been very, very consistent on that. So the National Hurricane Center forecast is probably 30 miles south of that. A scenario like this brings what I've thought all along. Bottom line, easy still to get 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts in Rotunda West, Englewood, and especially Venice out of this. South to southwest to west. This would be in the middle of the night for, 3 hours off and on gusts, and then it would be off toward the northeast. Okay, now here is the GFS, a very good model. This is the latest of it. Let me hit refresh, see if we're getting the 0Z. We're not getting the 0Z yet, so this is still the late afternoon run. Okay, the GFS, very good model. It has done very well on the hurricanes this year, and it is, note where Tampa Bay is. This one is even farther north. And a GFS solution would produce 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts, a few of them in the Rotunda West Englewood area. Still a storm surge, and I'm not a storm surge expert. They haven't issued a storm surge forecast yet. That'll be coming tomorrow. But my thoughts would be that, this could be, I want to say this could be a fairly similar storm surge to Helene, but we'll have to see. But on the wind, this would be good. This would be very good for Rotunda West. Okay, now we go to the specific hurricane models. Note that these are like sector models. You see the sector that they're on. I want to make sure you can see this. Yes, you can. Okay, so this is what we call the HAFS-version B, and I'll show you version A. So we're at Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., and now we're at Thursday morning. So these models are decidedly slower. This is Thursday morning, 8 a.m. So these models are saying that Thursday would be the worst part. And note that they also curve it north of Tampa to about Clearwater, maybe slightly north of Clearwater. And this is where the Hurricane Center was talking about. It's very strong there, a major hurricane, and as it weakens it some right there, it fans it out wider. So can you see how it goes, how this model forecasts it to get bigger? There it's fairly small, tightly compact, and then it comes like this. Now what would something like this do? Again, south to southwest to west, and we're probably looking at 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts in the Rotunda West Inglewood area. That's version B. Version A, I'm not sure the difference yet. I'll have to research that because these are fairly new. But version A also the same deal. And these are wind gusts, surface wind gusts. So, you know, the highest you could find in the Rotunda West area, I would say is, these are in knots, so I got to translate them to miles. 58 knots, which is, probably 65, 70 miles an hour. Again, south to southwest to west. And then this is the European, just giving us a total max wind gust. It holds the maximum that any one spot ever would have in this situation. Rotunda West, it would be at 58 knots. So again, that's got to be about 65 to 70 miles an hour. And it would have, 110 mile an hour gusts or more in the Tampa area. Let's see if we got anything new. I don't think we do on this. No, we don't. Let me just go back and make sure we don't. This GFS should be coming in at any moment. Nope. And let's just check and make sure we didn't get a new advisory. And we have not. Okay, so what you're seeing there then is no radical changes yet. We're waiting on the major round of new computer models, what we call the 0Z run. 0 Zulu time, 8 p.m. That's the data that was gathered at 8 p.m. They stick it into the model runs. Huge computers, rooms of computers, supercomputers tied together, run, takes an hour or two, and then we get the data. On the GFS, we usually get the data by 11 o'clock, so that's going to start pretty soon. That's going to be pretty interesting. I won't record anything here unless it's something major, but I think by morning we'll have a good look at both the European, the GFS, and that HAFS A and B. But right now, the trend is slightly in our favor to the north. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. The shear. Remember, hurricanes do not like wind flow aloft. And what I see from just the big synoptic scale is that there's a lot of wind around aloft for a major hurricane to hold together. Oh, I just nuked my, bear with me a second here. Let's go here. And just a second. All right. So this is the upper level wind at about top of the atmosphere, 30,000 feet up. See the blues? Those are winds. Those are 70 mile an hour winds out of the west. How does something spinning counterclockwise deal with that? It has a tough time. So this storm system has a lot of upper level wind to deal with. And just that right there does not look like the upper air pattern of a major hurricane. Now, it is a major hurricane, obviously, but it doesn't look like something that would continue to intensify as it hits the shoreline. That's just my interpretation. And again, this is Mark Torregrossa, and meteorologist 35 years, and I also own a home with my wife in the Rotunda West area. So try to keep you updated. Sleep well tonight, because I'm not telling you as you go to bed that the trend is not in our favor. It is in our favor. So take care. We'll say our prayers and hope that it continues to go that way. Take care.